Yeah,
And also,
I-
when you marry, you become one. So when you become one, that means you are the leader together for the family, for your
No,
relationship.
you're not the leader together. No, you're not the leader together.
Yes,
When you
yes.
marry, no, you're not both equal leaders. That's not even true legally. You can't have 50% of ownership or direction over anything. From a Christian perspective, which you were sort of LARPing as before, Red Shirt, you were like, oh, you get married and God, my thing is to God. Well, no, we're both to be submissive to God, but if you're talking about Christianity, it's hierarchical and patriarchal. That means there's a high priest called Jesus Christ, and beneath that, there are men, right? And so men actually lead the family. The man is the head of the family, and the woman is the neck. They work together, but they're
Right.
not equal partners, okay? They're not equal leaders.
Yo, Billy Bob shut it down. He was like,
but like you said, without a neck, there's no head, right?
no.
Right.
So it's again,
Without a body. No,
it's a
it's
give and a
body.
take.
It's a body.
it's exactly. There's
No.
not one without the other. Just because, like, if a man's a leader, there has to be
Bro.
someone to lead, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but they have to
Family.
follow.
Right.
Do women have to follow?
And they also have input in the
Do
situation.
Do women follow? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do
Men follow.
No, men don't follow women.
If a man wants a woman that's a leader, that's
Sure.
definitely a thing.
Like a cook.
But,
So
That is
but
the thing, yeah.
keep that energy. Keep that energy. You better initiate. You better go 50-50 on the first dates.
Yeah.
Don't expect
If
him to
that's what
protect
you guys want.
Don't expect him to protect you. Don't expect him to make decisions. Oh, what do you want to eat? Whatever you want. If you want a man who's going to be a leader, you got to be a follower. Otherwise, go deal with the soy boys.
Right.
But you can't be demanding a man be a leader and holding to his traditional gender roles, and you're a modern woman.
I don't think anybody's saying that, or at least
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not.
not. Yeah.
No,
We're
I don't
not.
think
We're
that's
not
what we're
saying
saying.
that at all.
But okay, here, let me think of a example here. What's a good one? Oh, okay. You're dating. Do you want to like have a career? What's
Me?
your yeah?
I don't really know what I want to do right now. I'm just focused on soccer, but honestly, I would be okay with being a stay-at-home mom. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. That's
Okay.
the dream.
I would love to stay at home and take care of my kids and cook and clean.
A
I like
homemaker.
cleaning, so.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I would love to do that too.
Homemaker.
I think that's
But
what
I
we've
wouldn't
been
mind having a
trying to,
career
like-
either. I don't really know what I want. I am 18
What
years
if you
old.
were? But so yeah, you're young, so you're still kind of figuring out what your potential interest could be.
Yep.
You're still working your way through school, whatnot. So
Yeah.
you're not exactly dead set on that. But you do say you could see yourself. Oh, it's hard because you said I'd like to be a stay-at-home mom. So there are women. This example I would give would
Yeah, they would be
better
like, oh, I don't
suited-
want to be stay-at-home mom.
Not necessarily, but there are women who would say, for example, I want to prioritize my
Like their
career,
career, yeah.
and my career, whatever, perhaps it's in a creative field or something.
Yeah.
I really want to keep working, and I ask, well, let's say you met a guy who could support you and you didn't have to work, but he was like, his standard was, in order for you to be with me, I want you to stop working and I'm going to take care of everything. There are women who will say, nah, I'm going to keep working.
Well, yeah, because some people enjoy working, and so it's like if that's what they value over the being a stay-at-home mom, that's what they value, and it all comes down to preference.
Yeah, and sure, but that wouldn't be submissive. That wouldn't be following his lead.
I guess I don't understand what you're saying.
Following a lead would mean that if you had a preference, if you had a proclivity toward
Yeah.
like going out or doing this or that, and you were in a relationship, or let's say you were married, let's add children, being that you want to have children. I love that. Is that what Brian is saying? Is that following the leader might include abandoning some preferences. So that's why we asked you early on, Chair 7, or what's your name?
My name's Mac, or McKinley, whichever's easier.
Yeah, early on, we got into, well, what's the threshold where you start to abandon your preferences? If you think that you want to have children, I would ask you, how many could you see yourself having?
I don't know why. I've always just thought about having 3 kids, but then sometimes I'll go back and be like, actually, I don't know if I want to have any. But that's not because I don't want to have kids. That's more because of like, I'm
literally
scared to have
18
kids,
too.
like just with like how society is. But I do want to have kids, and if I did, I'd want 3.
Okay, cool. Well, let's follow your preference happiness standard for a second.
Okay.
Do you think you'd be happier as a mother with more energy or less?
What do you mean? Like just in general?
More energy,
If having,
physical energy.
well, no, I probably wouldn't have as much energy. But I'm a pretty high energy person, so
Well, the question's
have a
simple.
lot.
Would you rather have more energy as a mother of 3 or less?
more energy.
Okay. If you think you want to have 3 children and you want to have more energy than less, wouldn't it follow that you might prioritize having children earlier than later?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she has
But
to
I'm
start
18,
what
so
do you
I don't want to have
preferences-
kids right now.
Okay, hold on.
I wanna say
What
something when you're done.
preferences right now are more important than the long-term choice of having children and filling out the vision of your life that you say you want here on this podcast right now?
Yeah, before I want to build a family and a relationship, I want to make sure I'm happy with my life because I don't think it would be good. No, I don't think it would be good for me to have kids if I was unhappy. I don't think I would be a good mother. So I want to be content with.
wait,
No,
hold
wait,
on.
no, you
Hold
hold on.
on.
I'm answering your question. What do you mean?
What if your determination of what makes you happy is given by a standard without children, and your standard for happiness?
I don't even
would
think it's
change
just
with
about being
children?
happy,
You're
it's about being
judging-
ready.
Hold on, pink shirt. What if your standard that you're using is completely closed to just being single right now, and so your evaluation of what makes you happy could fundamentally change? I certainly, and maybe people in the chat, or maybe anyone else who has had children, when you hold your child for the first time, I promise you, the things you think are your preferences and the things you thought made you happy, I'm telling you, if not fully fade away, partially fade away. And that's why I asked the question. It seems like, to be fair, do you admit that you're judging your standard for happiness from a pre-child position, and you couldn't possibly imagine judging happiness from a post-child position?
Do you think I would be more happy right now if I had a child? I live at home and I am a hostess. Do you think I would be more happy? That's a genuine question.
Do I think you'd be happier with a child? Well, if you had a child, you would be with a man who you thought was going to be a good husband, right? You'd be married.
Well, that wasn't my question.
Can I
I was
say
asking about if I had.
Well, no, your question's loaded with, I wouldn't advocate for you just having a child. I would advocate for you, first of all, being married to the church, and that the person you're married with is sufficient to have children with. I'm not saying that's easy to just snap your fingers, okay? Just
Okay.
don't get me wrong. I don't think at 18 you could just do this. I'm not saying
No,
that.
I understand.
Most
that.
people, like, you're like, let's use a example.
Sure. I'm talking to her for a second. Can you maybe not make it about you for a split second?
There'd be a good
so,
example here, though.
Matt,
Yeah.
if you did have a child, from your own standard, wouldn't you have already married the person? From your own moral
Yeah,
and
no, I
ethical-
totally would already
Okay,
be
cool.
married.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're already married and you have children, you're in love, you found the man of your dreams,
Yep.
you have settled down. What I'm pointing to is just an invitation for you, Mac, is to understand that maybe the thing that you think is readiness now is judging from a standard that you only have access to now, and the standard for happiness and fulfillment fundamentally changes after you find that man and after you have the children. That's all I'm asking you to consider.
No, I think maybe if I was with someone that I see myself getting married to and being a great father, I would maybe be more open to having kids. I still think I'd want to be a little bit older than I am now. I'd probably want to beat teen pregnancy, and I'd want to, do things that I enjoy first. Like I love playing soccer. Like I could not imagine not playing soccer. And so I wouldn't want to give that up to be a mom right now. I think in the future, eventually I'm not always going to want to play soccer. I'm not always going to want to be in school. I'm not always going to want to go out. But when I'm ready, I'm going to be open to give all that up to have a kid. But I also think that you could say that readiness to anything, like you never know what you're ready for until you're doing it. That could apply to anything, not just kids.
Correct. That's why I don't really use it. Myself didn't think I was ready to have a child, and it turns out I was.
Yeah.
But I thought 100% not, though. I like fully. If you heard me speak as a person, you'd be like, "Don't have kids, dude." Like,
Well, I'm glad that you
in
had
the right
kids.
mind.
I'm glad that it was something that makes you happy.
How many kids do you have?
3.
3. Are they older, younger? You said you've been
No.
with your wife for 10 years, 20?
They're younger.
Oh, how was it back to back?
Yeah, every 2 years, which is pretty ideal. I think.
I was
everyone-
gonna say,
think
do you feel like
Mitch,
you
should
did
go
it better like
for
that with
6.
having your kids 2 years apart? Do you feel like that was more better for what you wanted to work out for you guys? After one, were you like, oh yeah, we're gonna have more? Did it kind of break your seal?
I still want more. Still.
Yeah. How old's your youngest right now?
3.
Oh, so barely. Okay, so see, you're right there. Of course you want another one. That's why,
Yeah,
because
you're
they're
on that
already
time
outgrowing
mark.
it.
I think everyone should just go for it, right? I think people were healthier when women were having children earlier. I do understand modernity and the kind of culture we're living in now. Maybe it doesn't occur as workable. It's harder maybe to do it. It's harder to live a traditional lifestyle. It's harder to live a Christian lifestyle. But the thing is, like, there's no alternative. You know, the only alternative for women, and this is where I kind of feel bad for women, is that you guys really do waste the most important maybe 10, 15 years of your life, which is ultimately going to be the cornerstone and the bedrock, the foundation of the rest of your life, your legacy, which is your children and your family. Ultimately, and so you're in a harder position in a way. Men are in a harder position because we need our brute force. We need to protect you. We're called to die sometimes for it. You're called to be motherhoods, but you do have a time frame that men don't have. And I feel like women have been in sort of denial about it, and now they're starting to sort of like face the facts where they're like, well, maybe feminism sold us a bunch of shit where I can own a Mustang and a pink fucking blender, and I have a dog, but ultimately you wake up at 42 with wine-stained teeth, alone, hoping to be invited to a wedding so you can talk to a fucking groomsman.
I will say, wait, actually pause. I don't think I'm wasting my time. I don't necessarily know if it's always wasting my time because, like, I mean, personally, I view myself as a high-value woman. So I'm like, I don't think I've met any high-value guys that I would want to have kids with. So I don't know if I'm wasting my time. I just think that I'm just not jumping the gun.
Yeah, I was going to say, in order for us to settle down, you know, maybe
Final thought on
you
this.
guys, the men also waste their 10, 15 years partying around, you know, sleeping around. That's totally valid. I have like a strong will. I will not date anyone in their 20s because I know that men usually are in a stage of their life when they're trying to figure themselves out, when they're partying, when they're not ready to be loyal. So maybe we are ready when we're like 19 or 20, but the men available aren't
That's statistically
available.
true until he has a career and
Until he
everything
has a
locked
career,
down.
like
He
how you
won't know what he wants either.
can't expect us to settle down with like the first guy we meet, but this guy still lives
I'm
with
not
his
expecting
parents.
that. I think the bigger problem is that I think children need to work earlier. I think everyone needs to work earlier and grow up faster. We're in this like elonged state
working
of
at 15.
neoteny. Neoteny is like basically this frozen state of childhood. And I think modernity and technology, I don't have a blame on this. It's just that it's allowed us so much just resting room to not do anything because we can eat, we can order Amazon Prime, wings delivered with a fucking drone.
Right.
We're not pressured to develop, right? And
very
we have to
spoiled.
force our own development, right? And now this is why I'm so stern on this is that you have to activate your own development. You have to actually take part in it. You can't just sit and wait and be like, well, I'm going to see what happens. Maybe if I find the right guy, you have to like figure it out. Like, and women have a shorter time to figure it out, you know? And so this is why I stress it. This is like I might be harsh, but this is like, I'm trying to reach people, and men are a part of this. You know, they really are a part of it. Young men who just want to get laid and stuff. They're leaders, right? And so they're leading women to value giving their body away.
Well, if
right?
they're leaders,
they play a part in it.
why they're not doing a great job? Because, you know, like you said, if a man is the head of a household, you know, they're supposed to lead. Where are these leaders? These leaders are being driven by lust. They are being driven by their fleshly desires. They're not prepared to be a father figure. They're not prepared to be a leader.
But if they are, hold on, if they are the women prepared to follow?
I
would
said
say,
personally, yes.
No, you guys are like, no, I just want to go to Tuscany. Let me go to
said
Tuscany.
that?
You're like, I want to write a book. I always wanted to release poems. And you got all these fucking. I just got a ukulele. I just bought one. You know, I want to do a YouTube channel. Like, and the men who actually figure this out earlier, and there are more and more younger men, by the way, figuring this out. It's still low percent where it needs to be, but they are going, oh shit, I need to find the woman, and I need to make her a mother, and I'm going to be the man of the family. And they look out into the fucking vast sea of destruction. and they just see chicks just mouthing off. I don't need a man. They're all drunk on the street, fucking hawk Tua.
I feel like that.
This is your generation.
I'd also like to
No,
add
I
something
feel like
whenever
that
you're done.
matters a lot about like where you're living too. I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion. I feel like if you're in a city, you're probably, those two people are going to have a hard time finding each other because there is a lot of people that are just bullshitting around. But I don't know if you're
Where do you find them? Yep, Mac.
maybe if you're in like a more traditional city, like a cute little
Look,
countryside
I got to move it
town.
on, guys.